In the second lesson, we took our first look at entrepreneurship. We said that, in a broad sense, entrepreneurship coincides with human action. We defined human action, and we considered the elements that comprise it, and so we covered the fundamental concepts of economics: ends, value, means, utility, cost, time, etc. Well, today we are going to take another step and introduce a stricter, more in-depth, detailed view of entrepreneurship.
Más estricto de función empresarial. Y vamos a definir la función empresarial en esta segunda.
To begin our more in-depth approach, we will define entrepreneurship as the innate capacity of every human being, every man, every woman,
Para darse cuenta de las oportunidades
to recognize the profit opportunities which arise in his or her environment or surroundings,
en su derredor y actuar
and to act accordingly to take advantage of them. That is the definition of entrepreneurship. Notice, the capacity to recognize, to discover, to create, because there is no difference between recognizing something we were unaware of before and creating something in our minds. So we are defining an innate creative capacity human beings possess. What is it that most distinguishes us from animals? It is precisely that animals are not capable of creating anything from nothing. No matter how smart dogs or monkeys may seem, they still behave just as they did 50,000 or 100,000 years ago. While for some reason, human beings have this capacity for creativity. We are able to constantly discover and create new information about ends and means. Let us explore the implications of entrepreneurship as we have defined it. According to Kurtzner, the exercise of entrepreneurship requires a special alertness. That is the word he chooses, alertness, to be alert. Think of soldiers. Look alert! When we are alert, our attention is focused on what may happen. We are concentrating on spotting anything new that may come up. This is a rough explanation, an attempt to show how the term alertness relates to entrepreneurship. When I translated Kurtzner's works into Spanish, I used the term perspicaz for alert, because, as we read in the dictionary of the Spanish Royal Academy, perspicaz applies to vision, or a gaze which is far-sighted and very sharp, a person who can see far into the distance, a lookout who scans the horizon, a lookout with some hunters on a hunting reserve. He or she has vision or a gaze which is far-sighted and very sharp. Well, this idea also corresponds closely to qualities a creative entrepreneur needs. Furthermore, the term perspicaz may even sound a bit more dynamic than alerta. Estar alerta seems a little more static. I'm alert in my watchtower and keeping my eyes open for pirates. If you go to the Mediterranean coast, the Balearic coast for example, you will see that there are small lookout towers, atalayas in Spanish from Arabic, placed every few miles along the coast. What were they for? They were manned by alert watchmen who kept an eye out for Barbary pirates. Frequently these pirates would land, raid the coast, and capture everybody prisoner. The idea of being alert, or better still, perspicaz, of trying to anticipate future events, comes quite close to the meaning of entrepreneurship, in the sense conveyed by inemprehendo, prehendi, prehensum, the capacity to discover or realize something, to create something. So, we have talked about alertness, being alert, alerta, or perspicaz. Now, let us add another term, speculator. You may be thinking, what is the professor saying? Speculators? They should all be put in jail. We imagine greedy speculators who are trying to hoard goods in order to impoverish the masses. Everything that comes to mind when we think of speculators is derogatory. Land speculation. Oh, that's the worst. Not so, ladies and gentlemen. The word speculator derives from the Latin specula. Do you know what a specula was? What did the ancient Romans mean when they used the Latin word specula? A specula was precisely a lofty tower from which a watchman would scan the horizon in an attempt to see the enemy's movements far ahead of time, when enemy forces were still far away. That is what a specula was, one of those towers, and that is the origin of the word speculator. And the meaning of speculator also applies to the most intimate essence of an entrepreneur. He is always alert, or perspicaz, so that he can anticipate future events, find out consumers' future tastes and desires, try to satisfy the needs of millions of consumers in a better way, with goods or services of higher quality, at lower prices, and before everyone else. Or in the artistic field, for instance, filmmaking, to be able to convey an idea in a movie in an original and attractive way. To do that, you must be a speculator, one who is alert, or perspicaz, a creator. Because that is what an entrepreneur is. An entrepreneur is essentially a creator.